having to sort of grieve the idea of having that typical nuclear family, right? And maybe there's a little bit of jealousy when you see, a two-parent family with their kids, and you think, oh, that would be nice to have, the mom, the dad, or the two mom or the two dad families, and you look at them and think that's just beautiful. But you know what? Our family's beautiful too. Families come in all shapes and sizes, and I want my daughter to look around and see families like hers. That's why I'm so excited to meet Kat and Lindsay today. And just, I want her to be proud and happy of me and of the little family that we created.
There are definitely all kinds of families out there, and today we're talking about solo parenting. Hey everybody, my name is Ashley Cooley. I'm the owner of Birth Baby Sleep and host of the Bringing Up Baby podcast. On today's episode, I am chatting with three amazing mamas. Dayna, who is mama to 16-month-old Marin, Katarina, who's mom to 17-month-old Sophia, and Lindsay, who's mom to 20-month-old Bentley. So all around the same ages, which is awesome. But the three of these moms shared tons of wonderful insights and information around their parenting journeys, a lot of which all of us can relate to. Her solo parenting and those particular interesting challenges. We talk about finding your village. We talk about sick time from work and how that's not divide and conquer situation. We talk about making those big decisions or just what to do in the middle of the night with your little one if they're sick or if things are just not going well sleep-wise, the mom guilt, the sleep deprivation. Again, all things that all of us parents can definitely relate to, but as single parents for the majority or all of their little ones' lives. But these ladies all have some stories to tell, so let's get into it and meet them and hear what they have to say. Welcome, ladies. I'm really excited to chat with you all today because this is some really important stuff we're talking about. We were talking just before this recording how serendipitous this all was because Lindsay had a bit of a solo parenting situation that came up right before the recording. Lindsay, do you feel like sharing what happened?
Sure. I was getting ready to leave to come to Ashley's house, actually, and daycare called, and Bentley had some diarrhea, so I had to go actually pick him up and then come to Ashley's house. So it's been a busy morning so far.
But that's exactly the kind of thing that can come up in this solo parenting journey, particularly where your little ones are a little bit older and some are back at work and there isn't another parent to take the reins with that. So it's always you having to leave work and do that. So how has that been for you, Lindsay, just in the last run of a few months since you've been back at work in Bentley?
I mean, it's been hectic, but we're getting through. We do take a lot of time off work, and it's unpaid work because I'm a casual worker. So that kind of sucks, but we just get through and hope to gosh he can go to daycare the next day when he's off teething or, the bouts of diarrhea.
Or something else.
So,
yeah.
Something else, yeah.
Yeah. Dayna, have you had experiences like that as well?
Oh, yeah. The sicknesses are the worst. It's really challenging. I'm very lucky. I have a really accommodating workplace, but it's still, you feel terrible because, you're making that decision between, well, it's not even a decision. Obviously, you have no choice, but you have to look after your kid, but you're sacrificing your work. And I'm sure that work, is important to all of us too. You want to perform well. You want to do a good job. You want to be a good colleague. So it's, you definitely have that guilt, the work guilt and the mom guilt happening all at the same time. And that's kind of been a real struggle for me, for sure. I think I took, between my daughter and myself, we had 7 sick days in the month of February, which is just, appalling, right? It's horrible. So you try and balance, you work when they nap, you work when they sleep at night. So you're up late on your laptop, which, I'm sure other parents do the same thing, but it is hard when it's always you.
Yeah. Kat, have you had these experiences since Sophia's been at daycare and you're back at work? Yeah, same kind of things is you're either you try to work from home if you're, lucky and are able to do that, but it's you can't with a 16, 17, 20 month year old or 20-month old. Like they're just wild. So you're working during their nap, which is also the only time you have to shower or cook or do any of that. But then you're working when they go to bed. And so that's just kind of the challenge is you're inevitably most likely going to get whatever they have. So you don't even have the
Mm.
time when they're homesick to like rest when they're actually in bed. That is if they will stay in bed when they're sick. My little one loves to be on my chest when she's sick. So an upright in a chair. So it's just that part's really hard. You just kind of feel like you have your computer open and for me anyway, and you're wiggling the mouse trying to get some work done, but the baby wants you. So then you just feel like you're not good at anything in that day.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no, like we were saying, there's no divide and conquering. Like it's really you're on tap all the time. What about when you're sick?
Oh,
Right? There's one thing about when they're sick and we're caring for them, Kat, you're just like, oh
I'm
God.
like, oh no.
Which, and like you said, you're almost bound to get what they're picking up. We all deal with those daycare germs when we're going back to work and they're just starting. But particularly challenging if you're also sick, you don't have the energy or to do anything, let alone your own work. So what has that been like? Have you guys had? Do you call in reinforcements? Do you have reinforcements? What's that been like for you?
I mean, I'm lucky I do have a lot of support. I have a wonderful support system, but when you're sick, it's the last thing you want to do is pass it along to someone else. So, I mean, I remember having a stomach flu a couple months ago and like literally just laying on the floor. And
Mhm.
my sweet, sweet daughter, she was so good. She kept, she'd come over and she'd bring me a toy or she'd bring me a book and I'd lay there and read her the book or play with her a little bit. But I mean, it's miserable. It's horrible. But you get through it. You just power through.
And thinking about yourselves, and we are just talking about when you're physically sick, but the overwhelm, the stuff that can come with just parenting, period. And those that have partners or other caregivers that are with them in the house regularly have someone to kind of bounce stuff off of or ask questions to, even if they're not like the encyclopedia or anything, but just having those people around. So I'm curious what you all have done in those moments, like the middle of the night, or just what are we feeding them today? Like all of those things. What's been your go-tos, or how have you kind of been doing that for yourselves?
I'd say Lindsay has been my co-parent for a long time. That the middle of the night, it's a text. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna, I don't know if I can do this right now. She is not sleeping. She's teething. She wants to be on me. I'm exhausted. And so on mat leave, there was that understanding that when you woke up, if you had a play date, you could cancel it if you had had a really bad night, or if you had that play date, the other parent would, like the mom would understand if you came tired. When you're going to work and the baby has a rough night, and for me some days at my job are really stressful, but they're stressful ahead of time,
Mm.
like I know it's going to be a busy day. Those are typically the nights before that Sophia wants to be on mom, so you're just like, and maybe she's reading my energy, I don't know, but that part of just not having someone who can look at you to say, you know what, why don't you go for a walk? Or why don't you go grab a tea and read a book for a minute? Or why don't you just, I don't know, go to Winners, like do something? You're the one that has to carve out that time for yourself. So you may need that time for someone to come in and take over at 2 a.m. or someone to take over at 2 p.m. And you can have the best support system in the world, but Lindsay and I have talked about this before, but when you need them, you need them. It's very hard because your support system also has a schedule. So when someone says I can come at 7:30, you're like, well, she's in bed at 7:30, and you're like, I don't need help at 7:30. I
Mm.
need help in 20 minutes. But you understand that that's not how other people's lives work either. So I would say the best thing I've had is other moms, and also other moms in similar situations.
Yeah, yeah. How about you, Dana? What's that been like for you?
Um, I mean, the middle of the night thing is tricky. There is no option. I'm not gonna call a friend or call my mom or call my sister in the middle of the night. So really, it's just trucking along, But
Hmm.
I mean, I'm so grateful to have the support that I do have. I should mention, like, when I say I'm a solo mom, my daughter is donor conceived, so I don't have a co-parent in any capacity. So that's a bit of a different scenario too, right? There's no, I don't have to connect with someone to check in and see, I'm going to give this medication, or what do you think about me going to the ER in the middle of the night? It's on you. You make the decision. And sometimes that's just really, really hard because you don't know what to do and you're afraid of making the wrong choice. But I just do my best. That's it. Try and make the best choice for that moment for your kid and for your mental health. And that's it.
Lindsay, how about you? I know you and Kat text in those moments at times.
Yeah, Kat's been like a godsend. It's been great having her to like shoot things like off of like ideas or situations or whatnot. But a lot of it is like going with your gut instinct and like what you feel and what you feel is best for your child and what you need to do.
Hmm.
So through the night, I mean, things are difficult, but you just use your gut instinct on like what you should do if there's an issue.
Yeah, yeah. What have been some of like the positives? What have you been like so enjoying as being the solo parent to little Benny?
Just all the love that he gives you. Like the running up and like hugging you just because, and picking him up from daycare and him like running over to you knowing that like drop off was a bad day. And
He's like your little sidekick.
he is just my sidekick, and it's been the best. He's such a happy boy, and he's so lovable.
I don't know if you would call me a formal support or an informal support to you, Lindsay, but I know that you have called upon us at times to help out. And I always want to help whenever possible because I can empathize with that, with your situation of just not having somebody else to be able to do those things
But
for.
like you've told me before, Ashley, like you've always said, like if I've asked you for help and you haven't been able to, you've always been like, keep asking me, like maybe one of these days I'll be able to come help you. So, it's that help, that offer is always great. Just knowing that like I can keep asking you when I'm not bothering you.
Yes, and that's something to talk
Right.
about too, because if you have had to ask other people for help, how does that make you feel? What is that like? Dayna, do you have experiences with that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, that's something I've really had to wrap my head around and learn throughout this whole process is learning how to ask for help and learning how to accept help graciously, which is something that's always been really hard for me for some reason. But just, yeah, being able to say, you know what? I'll take you up on that. Thank you. Thanks for offering. Let's do this. Um, Instead of saying, no, no, don't worry, I've got it. You know what? We all need help sometimes. And it's okay to accept it or to ask for it when you need it. And, sometimes it's going to be a no, and that's okay. But practicing asking for help has been something that I've really had to work at. And I feel like I am getting better at it.
Oh, that's good. It's definitely a work in progress. And the reason I had said that to Lindsay, like I'm saying no, but keep asking, because I just put I think of myself, I'm always thinking of myself. No, but like I think if I were in that situation and I've asked somebody once or maybe twice on different occasions and they said no both times, I'd be like, oh God, like I don't want to ask them anymore. Like
Yeah.
how does that feel for you guys if anyone's ever said that? Do you feel like you've been taking people off of your lists because maybe you're asking too much? I'm just curious how that feels to you, I guess.
I think it's easy to take it personally, like, oh, there's when people say no, like, well, they're not available for me or they said they'd help and they can't help. But at the end of the day, whether people have kids, don't have kids, everyone has their own life and we have no clue what everyone else is dealing with. So it's very easy to say, well, she doesn't have kids and her nights are quiet and why couldn't she just come tonight? Maybe she's meeting with your therapist tonight. Maybe she's got some heavier stuff to deal with. Maybe she's working late because something happened at work. Like, it's very easy, I found, only speaking from my experience, to stop asking because you felt like you were being a burden. But also some of the people that say, oh, I'd love to come over and see her, I'd love to this, I would wait for them to reach out rather than reaching out. And so like I've been trying to get together with Lindsay for like it feels like 105 weeks, but and I'm the one. I'm like, this weekend we got it, we're open. And then it turns into, my grandparents just moved into a retirement home and we're going to go visit, and like just little things that you're like, okay, I have to do A, B, and C. Or Sophia's sick and I'm like, I don't want to get Bentley sick because I know then Lindsay has to call off work because it's just her with Bentley, and then it's the
Yeah.
same. You're like,
Yeah.
someone says, oh, my kid has the sniffles. And you're like, I don't want to go over there because then I'm going to be off work and I have a busy week this week. And so I think it's just asking for help, but also understanding that everyone's doing their best. And there's some people that probably are saying no to say no. And I find I cut those people from my circle.
Mm.
My circle's like very, very, very small, but the people in it are really reliable.
That's good. That's awesome. How about you, Dayna? You're nodding your head. It's been similar for you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really relate to what you said just about um, I find I'm oftentimes the one doing the reaching out to people, and I've always been like that. I'm always texting first or making plans or whatever, and I've stepped away from that a little bit because, well, first of all, I have a lot of other things going on, but you know what? If you really want to see us, they'll make the effort, right? And a lot of people in my circle have stepped up and are doing that. And some people aren't, and that's okay. To Kat's point, you just move on.
What about where do you all fall on your own priority lists? I want to ask you that because these are conversations I have with parents all the time. I've even talked a bit about it on the podcast a couple of times around how we tend to put ourselves at the bottom of the list. Kat, you were referring to, sometimes if there were to be a partner around, it could be helpful for that person to be like, hey, you look stressed. Like, let me do this, or let me take the baby, or let me XYZ, and you can go do whatever. But when you don't have somebody to maybe point that out, it's just one less person in your circle or one less person around you, one less way to kind of think about yourself in doing that. So I'm curious, are you on your own priority lists, and where are you on that list?
Well, today was, I took today off because he was going to daycare and I'd have the day to myself to do all the things and to just hang out and chill and have a day for me to do whatever I wanted, whether it be, I thankfully got a shower today between dropping him off and picking him up. Or, just lounging on the couch to watch TV, just to have some quiet time by myself.
So, but you
It's now not the case.
It's now not the case, but you had to actually book a day off work to get a day to yourself.
Right. So I take an unpaid day off work to hang out because now knowing that Easter's coming up and we have no daycare on Friday and no daycare on Monday, I now have no more days off without him being home. So it's going to be a long weekend. And how do you do the things? How do you how do you make time for yourself? It's hard because he's so active and so busy and so into everything that I got to keep my eyes on him at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's funny when work is your break time,
Yeah.
The time in the car where you're driving to the office, that's your break.
Oh yeah, I say that the walk from daycare to my office is 3 minutes, and I say that's the quietest 3 minutes of my life, like every day. Because the reality is, you're not looking for. This isn't like I have free time to go to the spa. I have free time to go for a run. I have free time, like the kid is looking for you when you're using the bathroom. The kid is in your grocery cart when you're grocery shopping. Your kid is with you when you're picking up dog food. Like they're with you when you do simple tasks that when you have someone else in the house, you're like, oh, I'm running to the washroom, just keep an eye on her, no problem. But like I tried to have a shower last night. Well, I have a shower every night usually right after she goes to bed, but I showered when she was awake. So I close the bathroom door, take the toilet paper roll off because she just runs it
clean, like just empties it. Took anything, like put the garbage can up. It probably took me 10 minutes to get prepared for this shower. And then the whole time I'm in the shower, she's looking in the curtain going, Mama, Mama, Mama. And so it's not like that's the thing that I think is different when you have two, is you have that balance. Because I had that for a little bit and have it a little bit now, but didn't have it for about 15 months. Yeah, 15 months in the middle. So you really just go, holy smokes, like a break is dropping her off at my parents' house to go get groceries. So that's a
Mm.
task. Like you can say what you want. That's not an enjoyable thing to do. You're not like, man, I feel like I refilled my cup from that trip to Sobeys today. It's just not something many people would say.
Yeah, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you get 2 hours, it's 2 hours that you're like, oh my gosh, I can finally fold all the laundry. Because if I try to fold the laundry when she's here, it ends up everywhere. You know, there's no piles. Yeah. So we live out of clean laundry baskets most of the time. And yeah, the 2 hours of free time you might get randomly because someone agrees to watch them. You spend cleaning your house because I don't know about you guys, but my house is in shambles half the time.
Well, yeah, because no, you shouldn't spend all of your free moments on those things. But then, like, it's nice that you're all kind of looking at you're trying to find those positives, those moments, like the 3 minutes between the daycare drop off and the work, or the 2 minutes here. Well, like I even notice when, let's say, well, I have a kid home sick and she's on screen, so there's its own special mom guilt when that's happening, but if I can still do my work and I have a child at home and they're sick, but they're on screen or whatever, they're still like that. They're checking in on me. I have to get them a snack or make sure they're not throwing up, or they're still like, my attention is not going to be 100% on me or my work. So, and that's just one example, like Kat, your shower, like your attention's never just like, I'm just going to shower. And it's something like you have to do, you want to do it, but like that could also just be like a relaxing moment, but it's not, because your mind is elsewhere because it has to be. So that's why I asked that question, is like, where do you put yourselves on that list? Because finding time for yourselves, it has to sometimes look like taking a day off work and calling upon that help. What's that been like for you, Dayna?
Yeah, I mean, I know how important it is to take care of myself because, you know, a healthy and happy mom makes a healthy and happy kid. I logically know that and understand that. In reality, it's just really freaking hard. I find myself at the bottom of that priorities list a lot. And that's okay because I try to remember that this is a season. You know, we are at a really hard stage right now at this age. You know, she needs to have 24/7 supervision. She can't be left to her own devices or in front of a screen. It just doesn't occupy her right now. It doesn't work at this stage. Maybe it will when she's a little older. You know, maybe I can park her on the couch with a movie while I go and have a shower or paint my nails or something. Um, but right now, what I do usually is I'm lucky. Like I said, my work is very accommodating. And for example, this Thursday, because it's right before a long weekend, they've said, "Hey everyone, we want you to log off at noon on Thursday." How lovely is that? You know, that's so great for an employer, and I'm really grateful for
Yeah.
that. So, what's the first thing that I did was uh, go and make an appointment for a massage. So this is me counting down. Oh, counting down to this massage that I'm getting on Thursday afternoon. I can't wait. That's gonna be my me time for what? Hopefully, it'll last me about a month or something.
Yeah, ride that wave as long as you can.
Exactly. I'll just like look back in my mind at that, and yeah, just you have to take advantage of those little moments, and that's it.
Mm. Can we take a step back to when all of your little ones were very little, and I mean, I know we can all get sleep deprived even now, for instance, when they're sick and they're not sleeping well and all that stuff. But I just happen to know in all different ways that, you know, sleep was a little bit challenging in some own ways, and extra challenges because, like we said, you're the only ones at home and working with the stuff. So what has all that lack of sleep in those early baby days, what was that like for you and how did you make it work?
It was really hard. It was really, really hard. Probably the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life is the lack of sleep, physically and emotionally and mentally, just exhausting. But I think for me, you know this because I called you begging for help. Um, for me, and I realized this through some therapy, which was much needed, and that was something that really helped me out. But understanding that I was so hell bent on not sleep training or not letting her cry too much, because as a single parent, I felt like I would be doing her a disservice because of the fact that I was a solo parent, if that makes sense. Because I made the choice to be a single parent, I felt like I had to suck it up and, lose sleep or not sleep train, because why should she, quote, suffer because I made this choice, right? Or because I'm a single parent. It wasn't fair to her. Okay, luckily through the therapy, that was knocked out of my head because that was really stupid. And sleep training saved us both. We both sleep great now. Well, I shouldn't say great. We both sleep a lot better now. And that really just helps with the mental health side of it, because you get to the point where you're not a great parent. You're not doing your best parenting when you're exhausted. You can't. So something has to give, and yeah, good sleep equals much better parenting.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't just kick somebody and say, you do it this time.
Hey, you can't. There's no. It's your turn. You're getting up, right?
I think too, then you don't have, if you don't have any separation from them, which sounds terrible because I did not let that little baby out of my sight for the first like 4 weeks with sleep. Like every nap was on me, like she would nap on my mom and I'd have a quick shower, but then I'd come back. But I think it was 4.5 months I put her in her room, which is 3 feet away from my door. And that in itself, that first night, I sat on the floor outside her bedroom crying because I was like, I failed her. This is like, she wants to be with me. And she wasn't crying, she was asleep, but I was like, she's there. Um, but that part for me, Sophia was not a good sleeper. Looking back, I think it was 90% my fault. Just in the way that I think I was overcompensating. I was also going through a relationship ending at the time, and so from a mental health perspective, when you're tired and that's going on and you're solo parenting, you're like, oh my God. Like, I just remember thinking, I felt like I had found a piece of myself in being her mom. Like, okay, this all makes sense now. This is why I'm here, is to be her mom. But then I also felt like I lost a huge sense of who I was because I thought that this relationship was forever. And I used to be this fun, outgoing, bubbly person. And I just like, it took all I had to even get out with a group of moms for a walk. Like, even that, I would drive home and just feel drained. And it's because you're not sleeping, you're stressed, your mental health, whether it's postpartum or whatever it is that you're going through. That part was incredibly, incredibly hard because I just felt like I could never really catch up. And even taking her, my parents have a beautiful little cottage. And so going there, she doesn't sleep well outside of her crib. So then we're not sleeping. So, yes, they're cooking meals, but you're also chasing her around a new place with sticks and stones and things she can hurt herself. So, it was that part I look back on and go, I have no clue how we made it through that. We obviously did, but I still, looking back, I mean, a lot of calls crying to Lindsay or texting Lindsay saying like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But like Dayna said earlier, it's a season, it's a phase. Like, in the moment, it does not feel that way. And you're like, she will forever be 6 weeks old and I will never have help. And you're like, no, this is really hard today, but it's not going to be like this in 6 months, maybe even in 2 months. And so that was the part. And even now when things are tough, that's the part that I stick to, is this is the season. This isn't forever.
Nice, nice. It sounds like you're all coming from this, again, from different backgrounds and different situations, but those similarities of like, you just got to do it. Like, we're putting on our adult pants today and have to just get through. But those mental breaks I think that that's been a resounding similarity too, is like you really have to be on top of making sure that you're getting those breaks that you need and finding those ways to do that, because you can see how those little things that, like, we all are home in the middle of the nights with our little ones, and we all have to work and get the daycare germs, and we all get those same stresses, but definitely unique when there isn't somebody else. Not that none of you have anybody. You all have mentioned like you've got a little bit of a village, which is awesome. But when that person's not right there, just how much extra stress or worry or just the tasks that need to be done are on you guys.
A plus side, a positive is you hear a lot about people in relationships and, maybe the unequal distribution of the workload. You hear about it a lot in couples. And I don't have to deal with that. I don't have another person besides my daughter that I need to take care of. So I take care of my daughter. I try to take care of myself, and that's it. There's nobody else I need to be concerning myself with, which is kind of nice. It's a bit of a break.
Absolutely, because we're also, in saying all of that, I'm assuming that like all the partners are just like the best partners in the world, and they're all going to say, hey, you look stressed, here's a cup of tea and let's go do, like, they're not all doing that. That's for damn sure.
And it's great when they are, but yeah, maybe they're not all.
Yeah, absolutely. Kat, what's been one of those positives for you, just being able to raise Sophia and have your little buddy with you?
Yeah, I think she's just my best friend. Like she's at the point now where it's a ton of work, of course, but she's like, I enjoy going places with her. I enjoy watching her learn and grow and develop. And so for me, I get to see that every single day. And that's what I love is, you know, that's it, that she wants to be with me. She wants mom, and mom's her home, and mom's her comfort. And I think that's beautiful in a place where there may be multiple people that a kid feel that way. And Sophia probably in time will too. But I think that's been the best, is she's just like my little adventure buddy.
I love that.
Yeah.
How cool is it to be like, I taught her that,
Yeah.
that from me. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're awesome because of me. They are. That's very much true. Very much. Is there anything that that we haven't touched on, that I haven't asked, that you feel like is a fairly like a unique experience to the solo parenting or just mom and baby stuff?
I don't know, like from again, like going back to the mental health piece, maybe. I think for me in the beginning, in the early days, something that I wasn't expecting to experience was a little bit of having to sort of grieve the idea of having that typical nuclear family, right? And maybe there's a little bit of jealousy when you see, a two-parent family with their kids, and you think, oh, that would be nice to have, the mom, the dad, or the two mom or the two dad families, and you look at them and think that's just beautiful. But you know what? Our family's beautiful too. Families come in all shapes and sizes, and I want my daughter to look around and see families like hers. That's why I'm so excited to meet Kat and Lindsay today. And just I want her to be proud and happy of me and of the little family that we created. But yeah, there is a bit of I'll say grieving that sort of idea of what you thought. You don't grow up when you're a kid, you don't grow up thinking, oh, I want to be a single mom someday, right? Not everyone anyway, but that's the life. That's it. And I'm super happy with my choice, and I wouldn't have it any other way, but there is that idea that you have to work through.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Am I making
I
sense?
think it makes sense to me, but I'm curious if Kat and Lindsay, if you have felt similar.
Yeah, and I think for me, my situation is just a little bit different. So I had that and lived that. And it, 4 or 9 weeks after she was born, their relationship just needed time apart. Actually, a week ago, it got itself put back together, which is beautiful, but also very challenging. And so, um, seeing her kind of, yeah, at the start for me, it was a really abrupt, like unexpected, in my view, like cut off. And so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I saw that and I was like, that's what I thought I had. And I really had to grieve that and really had to go through the process of missing that. But in the last 15 months, I've taken the time to really, look at what's best for her, what's best for me, what's best for our family. And so it's literally just last weekend that it kind of all put itself back together with a lot of time and a lot of work. But it is like I think that's the thing too. But then I always wondered, well, what if someone's in an unhappy relationship? Like my relationship didn't stay together in a bad state. It's separated. And so what's to say that one of those couples you're looking at isn't walking going, man, that must be nice. She's just doing her own thing. Like, you kind of always laugh, not assuming that any of them are bad.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at it, like you are, like if I could, any mom that's listening to this holding a baby that's just been born or that's 2 months old, whatever it is, you are everything that baby needs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that baby needs you and your love, and it's okay to have tough days, and it's okay to cry, and it's okay to go through and seek therapy if that's what you feel will benefit you. I did, and it was really helpful. Um, but I don't think there's a perfect cookie cutter way to do it. Like I grew up with a single mom, saw my dad every other weekend, and I, especially going through having a kid of my own now, recognize how much my mom did for us. And that part was what I found unexpected was I was like, holy smoke, she did all of this for me.
Mm.
Like she put herself through, and it's career, the field I'm in, it's tricky to say, but it's career. It puts some stuff on pause while you're going through these early years because you need what Lindsay went through today, the flexibility to go pick up from daycare or the 7 sick days last month. Like, so it's a lot of sacrifice, but all for the absolute best outcome. I was joking about this with someone the other day, and I said, the baby isn't born and then is like, wait a second, mom, where's the other guy? Or where's the other person? Or where are my siblings? Or where's the dog? Like, we have created this white picket fence life from TV and from movies and from Hallmark cards and from books. Nothing like when I think to, the time I had with my daughter alone, like we were doing our thing. And yes, it felt empty and lonely some days, but she didn't know that something was missing. So that's the kind of part is we feel that way because we've been around longer and have learned that this is what society views as family. But if you could get into those little kids' brains, they would say, "Oh, that's mommy's my family."
Bentley comes home from daycare and he's on like a daddy kick, yelling daddy, 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 like yelling it. He doesn't know the difference between mommy and daddy. He's hearing other children at daycare saying daddy when they're coming to pick their child up. I'm his mommy and his daddy. So, yes, he's yelling daddy, and some people look at me and are like, is that what he's saying? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. He's not understanding what daddy is. So
That's the beautiful thing is what we do know about babies, that they have this secure attachment, like they're securely attached physically, but also like all of that bonding and stuff happens with you because you're the one that has been doing all the things during pregnancy and everything. And so they come out expecting that they're just an appendage of yours. They are part of you. And they do get these secure attachments with other people in their lives, whether that's your partner or their father or other whoever it is, or maybe it's the grandparents, or maybe it's friends of yours because you make your own family. They can have those secure bonds and attachments with other people, but they only have one main one, and it usually is the mom or it's the primary caregiver. So it helps to have other people in their lives. And like I said, it sounds like you all have a bit of a village that you and your little ones can thrive with. But that's like, you're their number one. And that is such a special thing to do. And they're always going to look to you for that. And they're always going to see how strong and resilient all of you are, because of what you're doing. And Kat, like you in your situation where you've experienced that single parenting first, like as your mom and when you were
I
younger.
don't look back at my childhood. My mom worked and had 2 kids and was a single parent. My dad took us like every other weekend, but it was very unpredictable. I don't look back and go, oh, mom didn't have very much money. Like, even though we didn't, my mom put us in sports. She did what she could. But the things that I think we sit here and for me, it's like one income and that's why when you're not at work, you're like, I can't lose my job. But this kid's sick and then I'm sick and then we're always sick. But your kids don't remember that. Your kids remember that when you picked them up from daycare, you went to the park, or on the weekends that you took them to play dates, or that like your involvement with them. I look back, my parents got divorced when I was 4, I think. I don't remember it. And that's the thing, is that the 3 kids from the parents the moms on the call today aren't going to remember that we went through tough times, that this part was hard or financially challenging or any of that. And so we feel that, but they don't. And they're going to have great little lives because they have 3 moms who really care.
Ladies, thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your experiences. You all sound, and I know a little bit about some of you a lot, some of you a little bit, but I know that you're all doing such great work for yourselves and your family and your little ones. You're very strong, very resilient, and they're going to pick up on that. They're going to see that and grow up like that. So I think that's one of those amazing things about it.
Sir thriving. That's the word I use. We're sir thriving.
Sir thriving. I love it. Absolutely. Thank you all so much. This is great.
If you're looking for more information or support along your parenting journey, check out birthbabysleep.ca. That's where you're going to find prenatal classes, postpartum and new baby resources, and sleep support during the childhood years. You can now join our Bringing Up Baby community membership as well, which has tons of additional benefits to helping you through all kinds of sleep challenges and transitions, navigating the transition to solid foods, and even your transition through early parenthood. If you have any questions, just send them my way. Lastly, but certainly not least, if you got something out of this episode or our show in general, leaving a rating or a quick review goes a really long way to helping others find us. So please consider leaving one. That's all for now. I'm Ashley Cooley, and we'll see you back here next time.